Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I want to tell you a story. My mom was in the last 2 years of her life. She spent more time in the hospital in intensive care, or probably as much time in the hospital in intensive care as she spent at home. And every time she was in the hospital, I stayed with her. I mean, I didn't leave her at all. And nurses got to know me, and they were kind and would allow me to stay there and bring her food and bring what she wanted. And my mother would always ask for these giant chocolate bars. And I'd fall asleep somewhere in the middle of the night and then pop up and the chocolate would be gone. And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing eating all this chocolate? And she'd go, don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that. So, like, Mom, really, what's going on with all the chocolate? One day I was in the hallway and two of the nurses were saying something. They said, well, which room? They said, down the hall. They said my mother's room number. They said, the chocolate lady. And I was like, it's okay to say black. Well, that was the day I discovered that she was giving these chocolate bars to the nurses. And every day, I was the giant Hershey bar. Bring the big ones. And she would give it to the nurses. And of course, they share. They divide it up and share. I said, Mom, you've been giving all this chocolate to the nurses? She said, yeah. You notice at night they look a little bit droopy. And when they start on 11, you give them till about 4, they start getting droopy. She said, I prop them up with that chocolate. One day I said to my mom's doctor, my mom is not eating and it's worrying me. She used to eat lots of fruits and vegetables, and now all she wants is chocolate and chicken. And it's a little bit worrisome. And he said, yeah, her weight's gone down quite a bit. She's not eating, but, give her more chocolate and chicken. I said, what are you talking about? He said, if all she'll eat is chocolate and chicken, give her more of it. He said, your mom grew up on a farm, and she has eaten more fruits and vegetables in her life than you and I will ever accomplish in ours if we live twice as long as she does. Give her more chocolate and chicken. If that's what it is that she wants, give it to her. And it seemed so contrary to what I knew. Like, you have to have this balanced, healthy thing, right? But in her last years, she was on a decline, and he knew she was on a decline, and that's what she wanted. My mother had been an alcoholic, she'd been a smoker, and she had stopped all of that. And so she loved those sweets. And from time to time, she liked a real good piece of chocolate. And she fell in love with some Bojangles. And so those were the things that gave her joy, that gave her the calories that she needed, that's what it was. I have had periods in my life where, my children didn't know what candy really was until my mother moved in. And one night my son woke up and he thought his face had melted because she'd put a Hershey bar on his pillow, and he somehow rolled over and fell asleep on it. And he looked and he saw this melted chocolate. My face melted. No, baby, that's chocolate. And they got a hold of chocolate and they were never letting go. They told my mother, they said, Mom said grapes were candy. There were times when I was living in Kent, Ohio, where the only thing I could buy from a regular grocery store, so-called regular grocery store, not a, back then there was this Whole Foods market that wasn't called Whole Foods, it was just a farmer's market. I would shop there. The only thing I could buy from the grocery store was water if it was in glass. I was so strict. Self-care should become a routine, not a regiment. Not something that you're mandated to do, something you want to do to get yourself on track for living. And we make anything so impossibly strict, it's impossible to maintain. You cannot erase old habits. You have to replace them. And if you're replacing chocolate with, ooh, I don't get to have chocolate, but I get to have more alfalfa sprouts, it's just not going to sustain itself. You have to find a way to allow your self-care to not be sabotaged. So in my daily routine of water, and actually for me, I've got the kind of genetic makeup and history that I have to eat more throughout the day, because I can eat one meal and that's it. My body is saying, hold on to what she's got. We don't know when we're going to get it again. And these things cause other things to happen. They cause a crash. But I know that I can't have chocolate at night. I'm going to wake up with an asthma attack. I know that. You have to get to know what works for you. Self-care, like wellness, is not one size fits all. And I'm so glad, because this world is made up of all kinds of beauty. And to maintain that beauty, we need all kinds of ways. I love you. Go get you some chocolate.